In this video, we're going to go ahead and show you how to replace your fuel injector located on the top side of your engine. Now inside the trunk, you want to go ahead and grab the pull strap and pull the cover up for your spare tire. This is going to allow you to access the fuse block right here. Pop that cover off by pushing it on the spring tab. Pop that, release it. You're going to see a series of relays and fuses here. What you want to do is go to the far right on the back relay right here. Grab that, wiggle that out. This is for your fuel pump relay. I'm going to set that aside. What we're going to do now is go ahead to the inside of the vehicle, go ahead and start the vehicle or crank it a few times to go ahead and drain that pressure out of our fuel injectors. Now let's go ahead and crank this. At this point here, our engine is pretty much depressurized of our fuel system. So you gotta turn that key back. What we want to do is go ahead and disconnect our battery at this point. We're going to use our 10mm wrench and we're going to loosen the nut on our ground terminal here. Once you have that loose, we're going to spin that and disconnect it. I'm going to come on over to the positive side. We're going to do the same here. I'm going to disconnect that, set that aside. Go ahead and grab your engine cover and just gently pull up on that, dislodging the pins from the top of the engine, and set that aside. We want to go ahead and replace one of our fuel injectors here. Before we do so, you want to go ahead and pay attention to the cleanliness of the top of the engine area where we're going to be working. Now, we do have some debris on the top of the engine in the form of acorns and looks like little clippings and things like that, things that little rodents might have left here. We're simply going to take our air hose, blow off this side of the engine here where we're going to be working. Disconnect the electrical harnesses going to each one of your ignition coils. Release your lock tabs by pushing the red tab over. Press in on the release tab and remove the harness. Repeat this for the other three. Go ahead and continue by pulling off each ignition coil wire. Just give those a twist and a tug, and those should pop right off. Just follow the wire down. You're going to see another rubber connector right here. It's a rubber boot. Just give that a tug. We're going to do that for the other three. I'll reach around to the back one here. And pop that off. So disconnecting our fuel injector harness, there are red lock tabs on here. What you can do is use your flathead mini pocket screwdriver. You can go in right to the side here and just kind of give that a gentle twist. And what you want to do is lift that lock up, press in on the little spring tab here, and pull up. This should allow this to disconnect from your fuel injector. Once that's off, go ahead and repeat for the other three. Go ahead and pull off this tube right here off of your intake. We're going to go ahead and use our hose pliers here. Give it a twist and work that hose off. That's going to allow us to go ahead and pull up on our ignition wire retainer here. Pull that stuff off and swing it to the side. Disconnect your air intake temp sensor. There's a red lock tab on it. We're just going to use our pocket screwdriver. Unlock that and then press down on the tab, pop that off. We're going to follow the harness back here, and there are these little metal spring clips here holding this in place. I'm going to go ahead and pop this off all the way back. And just swing that over like so. In order to disconnect our fuel rail, we have to remove these two 14mm studs right here, holding that to the intake. We're simply going to unthread these. Go ahead and spin that out. We're going to repeat for the one behind it. And at this point here, we want to go ahead and gently pull up on our fuel injector rail, lifting our injectors up out of the intake. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and prepare for any residual gasoline that might be in that fuel rail by just simply tucking some towels and rags down around the perimeter just to catch any residual fuel from coming out. Now, if you did not depressurize the fuel system earlier, you may end up with excess fuel and or some pressure releasing from this here once you pop it out. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses when you're doing a job like this here. Now at this point here, we can gently wiggle the fuel injector rail here. Now as you're doing this here, that pressure holding these in is actually the rubber O-rings that are sticking in the intake for the seal. We now have the fuel rail system up like so. We have our injector out of the intake. We want to go ahead and release this little lock tab on the back side. We can do that by using a pocket screwdriver. You can come around the back side and you're going to pry that out. And that's a lock. That little lock right there goes into the injector and onto the fuel log. You want to grab that injector. Now there's also an O-ring up inside here. So you're gently going to grab that injector and go ahead and work that out of the fuel rail. We do have some residual fuel coming out here. So I'm just going to simply grab that with that towel. And there we have it. Minimal amount of fuel. Put that towel right there. And there's our injector. Now that you have this injector up, go ahead and repeat for the other three. Go ahead and take your new injector, line that up inside. I want to go ahead and push this up inside the rail. Now there's a little notch on the side of the injector. That is where your lock clip needs to be. So you know when that little notch is right at the edge of the fuel log or the rail here, that you are fully seated. Once you have the injector seated, go ahead and take your lock clip, and this little area here on the bottom is what's going to lock into those little notches I was talking about. Line that up, press it on. And there you have it. What you want to do is just go ahead and press that fuel rail down, getting those injectors pressed into your intake. And once those are pressed in, you're going to see that they're fully seated and our tabs here are flush on the intake. Let's go ahead and install your anchoring studs here. Just want to go ahead and snug those down. They don't have to be super tight. You're just holding the fuel injector rail to the intake. Go ahead and run your harness down. You want to connect our fuel injectors, pressing the injector connectors on and pressing the red lock clips on to secure those. You can install your coil harness. Press those on. Now when performing this job, there are ways you can do it. You don't have to disconnect all this stuff. It is always easier to get the entire harness out of the way so you have direct access to the fuel rail. We chose to do it that way there, and it proved to be easier for us. Install your fuel line here for your fuel injection system, pressing that down onto the blue lock clip. You can hear it and feel it lock into place. Install your air temp harness here. Press that in, press the red lock in. Let's go ahead and swing your harness over, and we'll get these components installed. And slide your coil boot down inside the cylinder head here, and then install the other wire onto the coil. I'm going to repeat this process for the other three cylinders. Go ahead and install your wire retainer on the studs. Press that down. Take your map sensor, locate the port on the back. You want to press that down, pop it and rotate it, and you can install that harness. Press it in, and you hear it click. At this point here, we can go ahead and put our engine cover on. Go ahead and line that up. Press it down in position. Let's go ahead and install our fuel pump relay, and then install the cover. Let's go ahead and reconnect our battery here. Install the positive terminal here. Let's go ahead and tighten that down. And once you have that good and tight, go ahead and install your ground terminal. We'll do the same for this. At that point there, we can go ahead and close down our cover here, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.